Hello, in this lecture I will be discussing about genetic material and its characteristics. What is a genetic material? The material that determines the inherited characteristics of a functional organism can be called as a genetic material. We can also say that the genetic material is a substance which not only controls the inheritance of the traits from one generation to the next, but is also able to express its effect through the formation and functioning of the traits. So, which material can be called as genetic material? What are its properties? Let us discuss that. A molecule that can act as a genetic material must fulfill the following criteria. First, the genetic material should be able to replicate. Now, why the genetic material should be able to replicate? We have discussed that genetic material is the one which gets inherited from the parents to the offsprings. So when the cell divides, then the genetic material should be able to replicate and get distributed in the newly formed cells. The second point, the genetic material should be present in all cells of the organism. So we do not want that the genetic material should be present in some cells and absent in the other. So the genetic material should be present in all cells of the organism. The third point, it should be same in both quality and quantity in all somatic cells of the organism. Now, there are point to be noted that the germ cells have different quantity of the genetic material than the somatic cells. So, we will consider the somatic cells and we will say that the genetic material should be same in both quality and quantity in all the somatic cells of the organism. The fourth point, it should express itself through formation of specific biomolecules. What does this mean? It means that the genetic material should express itself, it should be able to translate its information in working form. For example, let us consider that DNA is a genetic material. So it should have the property to transfer or to translate its code into a functional form, for example, which is the protein. So the genetic material should express itself through formation of specific biomolecules. The next point, the genetic material should be stable both physically and chemically. This is very important. Stability of a genetic material is very important. The next point, it should have vast diversity, and as it is found in the innumerable forms of life. Genetic material should be diverse. We do not want similar type of genetic material in all the organisms. Then there won't be any diversity. So genetic material should have this property. It should be diverse because it is found in the different forms of life. The last point, and this is also very important, there should be some intrinsic control system for differential functioning of genetic material so that different parts of the organism are able to have specific size, structure and functions. So this means that the genetic material should be under control. That control is intrinsic control. So for example, let us give an example. We know that the DNA is a genetic material and DNA is present, similar DNA is present in all the cells of our body, but different organs behave differently. For example, the liver synthesizes proteins which are of quite different from the proteins which is synthesized or which is present in the heart. So different organs although they have the same genetic material, but they are specially under certain control that which genes will get expressed. So, genetic material should be under some intrinsic control for this differential functioning. So, these are the certain characters which must be shown by the molecules which act as a genetic material. Now, let us talk a little bit about the biochemical nature of the genetic material. We all know that living matter is made up of several types of biochemical compounds. So, it is quite evident that genetic material should also be biochemical in nature. For a biochemical compound to be genetic material, it must have large size and high degree of variety. We have discussed that in the properties. In nature, there are two kinds of macromolecules which have such a diversity. The first one is protein and the second one is deoxyribonucleic acid. So, these two are the major candidates to become the genetic material. Now, let us discuss a little bit about proteins. We all know that each organism have numerous types of proteins. Proteins are composed of amino acids. There are 20 amino acids which can be arranged in any configuration and any number to give a variety of diverse proteins. Proteins are universally found in all the cells. So, therefore, protein should be a strong candidate. But there is a problem. Proteins do not have a mechanism to get replicated, and we have discussed that to replicate is a very important property of a genetic material. So, protein do not have the property of replicate. Now, let us talk about deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. DNA on the other hand has a property to replicate. It is made up of nucleotides which are arranged variously into long chains of molecules. Experiments are carried out to prove that DNA is the genetic material. So, there are several experiments which were carried out to prove that DNA is actual genetic material. We will talk about those experiments in the subsequent lectures. Now, I just want to mention one point over here. RNA or ribonucleic acid also act as genetic material. RNA can be a genetic material in some viruses. Now it is found that in some viruses RNA also acts as a genetic material. So hope this lecture was helpful. Thank you.